He lied about a $1 stock, made millions, and only served 22 months in jail. Then Hollywood turned his crimes into a blockbuster. This is the story of Jordan Belfort, the man who scammed Wall Street and somehow got rich again doing it. Queens, New York, 1960s. Jordan grew up in a modest neighborhood in Bayside. But even as a teenager, he had one obsession: money. At just 16 years old, he sold Italian ice on the beach and made about $20,000 in one summer. Most teens would buy a car. Jordan had a different plan. He enrolled in dental school. But on the first day, the dean said something that changed everything. "If you're here to get rich, you're in the wrong profession." Jordan stood up and walked out. He didn't want a career, he wanted wealth. The first hustle after college, Jordan started a door-to-door meat and seafood business, and surprisingly, it worked. At its peak, the company was making $100,000 a month in sales. But the business collapsed just as fast: spoiled meat, late deliveries, unpaid bills. Within months, it went bankrupt, but Jordan learned something important. The product didn't matter. What mattered was the sale, and Jordan was very good at selling. Wall Street. Jordan got a trainee job at L.F. Rothschild, a real Wall Street brokerage. It was the 1980s. Money was everywhere. So were drugs. This was where Jordan learned how brokers really made money. But then in 1987, the market crashed during Black Monday. Jordan lost his job. Most people saw disaster. Jordan saw opportunity. Penny stock goldmine. Jordan discovered something called penny stocks. Cheap, risky stocks worth just a few dollars. But they had one big advantage: huge commissions. So Jordan started cold calling strangers, pitching tiny companies as if they were the next big thing, and people bought it. A lot of people. Building the empire. In 1989, Jordan and his partner Danny Poresh launched their own brokerage, Stratton Oakmont. It sounded prestigious, but in reality, it was a chaotic office full of inexperienced salesmen making thousands of cold calls a day. Jordan trained them using his famous system, straight line persuasion. The goal: push the customer from hello to buying stock without giving them time to think. Soon the money exploded. Stratton Oakmont was making millions. But the secret behind the success was simple. They were running a pump and dump scheme. The scam: here's how it worked. 1. They bought cheap stocks. To their brokers, hyped them to investors. 3. The price skyrocketed. Then Jordan and his team sold their shares at the top, leaving thousands of investors with worthless stock. For Stratton Oakmont, this wasn't a crime. It was just another Tuesday, the Wolf lifestyle. By the early 1990s, Jordan was living like a king. He owned mansions, sports cars, and even a luxury yacht named after his wife. The office culture was pure chaos: champagne, drugs, wild parties. Jordan wasn't just a CEO anymore. He was becoming a legend on Wall Street. But legends attract attention. And eventually, the government noticed. The investigation. The Federal Bureau of Investigation began investigating Stratton Oakmont. Complaints from investors kept piling up. Stocks that were sold for $7 suddenly collapsed to 30 cents. Agents followed the money. Offshore accounts, shell companies, hidden transfers. Eventually, insiders started cooperating. And in 1996, federal agents raided Stratton Oakmont. The empire was finished. The fall. By 1998, Jordan Belfort was facing 30 years in prison, so he made a deal. He cooperated with investigators, testified against his own employees, and in the end, he served only 22 months in prison. The comeback. While in prison, Jordan started writing. His story became a book. Then in 2013, director Martin Scorsese turned it into the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. The film became a global hit, and Jordan Belfort, he reinvented himself as a motivational speaker and sales coach. The same man who once scammed investors was now teaching people how to sell, ending his victims lost millions. Many never recovered their money, but the Wolf, he turned fraud into fame. And the strangest part, the world applauded. If you enjoyed this story of Wall Street's most infamous scammer, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more unbelievable business stories. Because sometimes, the craziest stories in finance are completely real.